And as is the way with anyone who moves from club to club, you just say, "Oh, we never liked him anyway." Think about Trent's leaving to potentially Real Madrid. Oh, we never liked him.
Oh yeah, Micah piped up on Tuesday night, didn't he? He's like, "Oh, he's no good anyway."
Welcome back to the Lose to Win podcast with myself, Josh, Jack, and Ben. We're thrilled to be back.
Happy
Christmas.
New Year!
New year.
Fucking hell. Really? The 16th of January. New season. Happy new season.
Happy new season, yes!
Well, it is a happy new year, though, to be fair to all the listeners, because we haven't done it for over a month now, or close to a month. So, yeah, good absolutely. Lord. But into a new year, a new season at Man v Fat Bournemouth, and just new members. Plenty of new members as well. Full. We are full. We are full. In fact, we have an unfortunate couple of injury memberships, which means some teams have got 12 players registered.
God, really? Who's that?
Yeah, I thought so. I think there was at least one team that had 12 players registered. We could have had a dropout since, I can't remember. But anyway.
James Scott is back, Ben. Did you know that?
So I saw, but he's on a different team, is he?
So I think there was a bit of a confusion about him coming back. I think he started like an injury membership and was actually like, no, I don't want to limit myself to not being able to play for 2 months at all. So I think he's back on the Oranges. Josh, is that right?
Yeah, he is. Saw him play against us week 1.
Good to have him back. Good old
yes,
Jimbo.
Absolutely. Great character.
Old Django, as I like to call him.
Yeah. So new faces, returning faces. I was back playing for the first time officially, which was quite nice. And I scored, which I was even happier about.
Done, mate.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately we lost on the pitch, but I think most teams will to the Blacks this season. They were unplayable again, as always.
And they lost 2 players. And then
they lost 2 players, but they picked up a new guy who was unbelievable.
Really?
A new striker.
Typical.
He is... apologies, I've forgotten his name. Josh, you might
Martin,
know.
potentially.
Martin, yeah. So he's an absolute ox, Ben. You can't get near him. He's got really good close control. He's got a hell of a shot on him. So we were like,
joy.
Brilliant. Blacks lose Ben and lose Dave and Chris and gain Martin, if that is Martin's name. Very, very good player. So all good fun.
Oh well, fair play.
Yeah, well,
be a challenge. Like a challenge.
Yeah,
always is.
Good.
Always is.
Anyway, how were your guys' festive seasons? I should just put. Are you all right? Not too bad.
Yeah.
Good.
Go on, Jack. You go first.
Or bad?
Yeah, I'll go first. Mine was all right. Thank you, mate. It's I was off basically from Christmas Eve all the way through to going back on the 6th of Jan, which was when the kids went back. First day back for the kids. But sadly, that was also my son's 12th birthday. How brutal is that, going back on your birthday after Christmas?
Yeah.
So we always have that time of year. We always have a bit of double celebration. So we obviously had the family round over Christmas and went to my mum's, but then they all came round again for Ethan's birthday on the Sunday before they all went back. So it was all good. He got we gave him his presents early because we felt awful that he was having no open presents on. We kind of treated the Sunday as his birthday because that's just so brutal. And all running up to it is like, I'm taking that day off. And I'm like, you're not. You're absolutely not taking that day off because I've got to go back to work as well. So you've got to deal with it. Outside of that, mate, it was pretty good. I was trying to think if there was anything, especially we played a little bit of football. Obviously, with the breaks that we had a few 6:30 games down at Little Down that I know Harry sorted one out, and I think Dave sorted the other, which was good, just to stretch the legs and stuff. And I was
cold,
pretty. Oh goodness me, when it cold, yeah. At least it's warmed up a little bit, but yeah. And I was quite happy to only put on a kilogram, and I must admit, the Monday I weighed myself, I think I was up 3. So in Monday to Friday, I lost 2 anyway. And I think a lot of it because I didn't drink a lot, but I was just finding myself, instead of just watching TV, and I was like, oh, I've got some beers in the fridge, so I'll have a beer. Even on those days in between, which was not like me at all. I don't generally drink unless there's an occasion. Wouldn't just have a casual drink at home. So I think there's a little bit of like beer or water weight that was quite easy to shift in that little week because I didn't try particularly hard.
Yeah.
The other thing I forgot, actually, I took my mum for a very late Mother's Day present. It was given to her for Mother's Day, but we only went over Christmas, to Harrods for an afternoon tea, which was very la-di-da. And the food was incredible, and the service was actually what made it. So there was a guy there that reminded me of Gino D'Acampo, and he was so attentive and just so charming and I'm trying to think the right word, charismatic.
Yeah.
And just really just makes that extra bit so special about it. So yeah, we did a day in London. We went to Fortnum and Mason's and Harrods and did a bit of sightseeing and all that sort of thing. So yeah, it was all good fun.
Amazing.
And over in a flash, honestly, absolutely over in a flash. Which
well, that's the thing.
There was 1 or 2 days we were sat around kind of like, oh, we need to get out the house today. We need to get those dogs walked. We need to stretch our legs, do a bit of exercise, because all we've done is eat beige buffets and sat on our ass watching shit TV. So yeah, there was a couple of days like that, but as soon as you're back to work, you're like, where the fuck did that time go? Honestly, it just flies by.
Well, I was I had 2 weeks. I had 2 full weeks off, just over, because my work finished on the Friday before. So what was that? The 20th, something like that. And then I was off basically the same length of time the kids were off. So
nice.
Started off on the Friday morning with a full English, of course, little works breakfast, a couple of pints at lunchtime, which was nice. But I'm not going to lie, lads. I have indulged over Christmas, not just because of Christmas, but other things were going on. I'm happy to say that there was a bit of bad news before Christmas that my mum was taken into hospital, and she lives up in North Wales. She lives in Wrexham, so that was a bit of bad news. Luckily, my sister was up there, so she was able to get to her. But I ended up having to go up there a few times over the break. She's okay. Don't panic, everybody. She's fine. She's just got a few mobility problems. She's still in hospital at the moment, but she's be coming out next week, which is good. She's going to have a few carers going around and looking after her. But basically, we've been sorting her house out and making sure that it's okay for her to get home and stuff. So she lives on her own. So that's going to be an ongoing thing, trying to get her sorted. So that kind of overshadowed the Christmas break a little bit. But we had all my wife's family down over Christmas, so we had like a double Christmas. We had father-in-law down for a few days before Christmas, then we had mother-in-law down over Christmas, and then we managed to, after Christmas, get a few days to ourselves just to chill out a little bit. So it was good. But I haven't been good at all. I've eaten vast amounts of chocolate. I've eaten vast amounts of mince pies and Christmas pudding and turkey and booze. And so I do need to get back to weighing, because I've got that feeling, where I don't have that accountability. Do you know what it's like? You know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
I don't have, until I've weighed in the first time back. I still don't seem to have that accountability. I go, do you know what? I'm just going to have another biscuit, or I'm just going to have another glass of wine or whatever, because I haven't weighed in yet. So I know I'm going to be over anyway. So it doesn't really matter.
I know exactly what you mean. Do you almost feel a little bit, I'm going off piece a little bit, do you almost feel like you're almost locked in now? You can't, I don't think I'd struggle to survive without the routine of the weigh-ins and having that discipline.
Yeah, I was just chatting to Ollie earlier, actually, and I was saying exactly the same thing to him. I don't think I have the ability, if it's the accountability of having the weigh-in that forces me to pay attention to what I'm doing and what I'm eating. If I don't do that, I kind of literally slip back into, and it doesn't take long, slip back into, I can have a glass of wine, or I can have a beer, or I can have a couple of biscuits, or I can have, a chocolate bar, whatever. And all of a sudden that then becomes normal again. So it's a real conscious effort to try and maintain that being good. And the weigh in and the commitment to your teammates, of course, is the contributing factor to try and lock that in. So I think I would definitely struggle if we ever stopped doing it. I would probably pile on a shed load of weight. So keep taking my money.
Got you by the short and curlies.
Yeah, man. But it's going to be a few weeks, sadly, before I actually start scoring any weight loss goals, I fear, this season. Because my starting weight was fairly low, actually, because we obviously did quite well last season. So that's been a real kicker to have that. And I said it to the lads in the chat. I said, the fact that we did as well as we did on weight last season, to finish just before Christmas is probably going to kick us in the balls a little bit, because everyone will have indulged over Christmas, and then we don't score any goals until we get back under our starting weight. Now, some of the lads have done really well. In fact, some of them actually lost weight over Christmas, which was brilliant. But there are some of us who actually have put on a considerable amount of weight, so it will be a few weeks before we start contributing in weight loss goals. So that will be a little bit of Achilles heel for us, unfortunately. But hey ho, that's the way a cookie crumbles, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about you though, Joshy? Your turn.
Oh yeah, I mean, Christmas itself, always nice to have a bit of a relaxation, you know, with the family in general.
Yeah.
It's nice to get everyone together under a roof. Weight? No, I did not lose weight. I put on some weight.
Did you?
Not like ridiculous weight, but a decent amount of weight. Not, 2.6 in the end, I think it was.
Okay, mate. That's a big Toblerone, right?
Yeah. I wish. 2.6 kilo Toblerone. Get me one now. No, it was I don't know. It was okay. Like the Christmas itself, lovely, but I think it's one of these things where you just get out of that habit immediately. I switched as soon as the last weigh-in went. I was like, okay, I'm in Christmas mode now.
It's time,
and that's it. It's time. Yeah, and I'm gonna, what did I do? I think I went over to my parents' place and they were immediately like, "What do you want for dinner?" I don't know. Takeaway? Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I'm not getting weighed in for 3 weeks. Sure.
It'll be come back off in a couple of weeks.
But the problem is, you'd say that 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after, you get past Christmas, past New Year, and you've still kind of like. I mean, I wasn't really indulgent, but I just didn't stop myself when someone goes, "Do you want a chocolate?" From the tin of the whatever they've got.
It's too easy, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And then you get the other side of New Year, and like you guys, I was very much like, well, I'm not weighing into the 10th.
Yeah,
I've got another 10 days to worry about the weight.
Get me the beer out.
Yeah, and it's just like, and I was just a little bit, again, I wasn't really bad in that first week leading up to weigh-in, but it was just, I kind of said to myself, this is the week where I need to get back in the groove of things. And I just never quite got to the same level I know I can get, because I was ultimately just like, this is my last chance now before I start having accountability of the weigh-ins, and therefore I need to be really good.
Yeah.
So why not have that extra biscuit now? Because it's not coming in the next 12 weeks or whatever. It's going to be 14 weeks. So, but maybe that's the wrong mindset in some level, because in theory, those small things you can try and fit into your normal diet, but it's just different. Yeah, it's so. Anyway, so
it's hard.
Yeah, 2.9 it was in the end. 2.6, sorry, and then we'll go from there. See, I think it'll be a couple of weeks before I get back under that, but we'll see. But I'm feeling okay, not too bad. Feeling good about it now. Again, I've got it's the whole last man standing. I didn't lose enough or didn't not gain enough to get that grace week, and so it's now I've got to be there every week and weigh in and be under that threshold. So it's important.
How will you cope with your injury, Josh? Do you think without football for a little while?
Gonna go and golf.
Yeah. So, so I did. Yeah, I fractured my just the bone in my hand, basically outside of my right hand. So nothing super serious, but it will. It's quite painful and it's swollen and that at the moment, and it will keep me out for probably a week or two. It's a little bit up to me because it's whatever risk I'm willing to take. But as we found, no, I'm not.
You're not. Oh, mate.
I mean, it's still pretty painful. Yeah, but the problem is, like,
if he falls on it,
saying,
it could really...
if I fall on it, a ball hits it. If I just go out of bounds into the fence, I'm on the ground at any point, and I use it to stop my fall, which anyone knows.
Yeah,
you just do instinctively.
Yeah, of course.
If I push it out of line again, I'm going to need surgery or something, and it's going to be complicated. So while it's still quite raw at the moment, I'm not going to be risking it.
Fair enough, mate.
Give it a couple of weeks and we'll see. Because then it's like, if I can strap it up properly and I feel like I can avoid it, then there's no good reason not to. That's a lie. There's probably the good reason is to make sure it heals. But we'll see. Because it's just my hand. It's not like my toe last time where I kicked something and it's
I think when I did mine, it took about 4 weeks. I think it took to totally heal.
Yeah, so it's 6 weeks, and then even then, I'm still going to feel it for a year.
Yeah, and it'll ache, mate, when it's cold. aches.
Yeah, Toe still does, and that was how long ago is it now? So
yeah, mate,
a while back. Anyway, so probably this and potentially next week in terms of the Man v Fat, I will probably miss, and then we'll go from there. See how I feel when I've taken the strapping off, basically.
Yeah.
Well, since we've got so many new. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, before we get stuck into the roundup, just wanted to see what your thoughts were about Steve's announcement about a potential second club night or a new club. That seems to be on the horizon, doesn't it?
Well, there's no real details behind that, is there? Josh, you might know a bit more.
I might, but I'm not sure. Like a few times where I've got in trouble in this podcast.
You're quite good at putting yourself in it.
Once bitten, twice shy.
Yeah, even when it comes to a regional manager at one point. And that was the injury membership, if you remember. We were talking about beforehand. Yeah. And I told you guys I probably shouldn't have. Anyway,
he was all right about that.
No, I know. So
second
I don't
league.
actually know. All I know is what he said in that we're potentially going to have a second league night. It's not going to affect this league at all anyway, as in this will run exactly the same.
Well, I've got some questions around it though, because what would happen then? What would happen? Because a lot of the guys who come to Bournemouth Man v Fat as it is now, because we're actually in Christchurch, a lot of the guys who come from the other side of town, like you boys, really. Where are you? Parkstone Way, aren't you?
Yeah, we're actually closer to the pool one, to be fair.
Right. Okay. So wherever it would be, probably where would it be? Littledown, maybe, or
potentially the same place. Potentially Two Rivers, just on another
night. It would be at Two Rivers, would it?
I have a feeling they're probably. I mean, again, I've got no information on this, but they'll probably do Two Rivers just a different night. Let's just hypothetically say it was a Wednesday night. Okay. Yeah. So they're going to do. Let's just say it was a Wednesday night. They're going to do a Wednesday night, and they'll still do our Friday night as normal. This would stay the same.
Yeah.
I guess the only difference is there's a possibility you might lose some players to the Wednesday night only.
Yeah.
And therefore there's a. So I don't think we're at that stage. Well, I don't think we're at that stage. I think we'll keep 8, but it just might mean we've got 3 or 4 spaces in each team, kind of thing. I don't honestly know. I don't know.
Well, there would have to be quite a big waiting list for that to happen, though, wouldn't there? Because there's no point in starting it with 10 people keen.
Yeah, well, the aim is obviously to do it at the end of this season, so that will be April 11th, something like that, something around that kind of date, into the spring. We could have a few people, we could have plenty of people on the wait list by then. We could have no one. We could have lost players. We don't really know. So I think they just see. I think Man v Fat as a general probably just look at the area of Bournemouth and Poole.
Yeah.
And the potential.
And Christchurch and that, and the potential given its how vast it's expanding and how many people actually live in the area, versus other probably areas where they think, there's however many 100,000 people who live in this area.
Yeah, it is a big area.
Normally our conversion is X% to the league total. That's enough for 2 leagues or 2 nights or 3 leagues or whatever it is they say. So I don't honestly know. I think there will be a fair few people, not a lot, but I think there'll be a few people who probably join both nights.
Yeah, maybe. Are they doing the discounted double league joining?
No, they don't do that anymore.
They might do. They might do as to start it off.
Sweetener, yeah.
Might do a little incentive.
So you're helping the league get going. Yeah.
That would be a good idea, lads. If you're listening, Steve.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Rich Crick, if you're listening, know you do sometimes.
He was on Talk Sport the other day.
Stu, was he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and they don't know if you listen to it. Charlie Baker's a very funny comedian. He covers in for the Hawksby and Jacob show, and he every time they always come up with your Christmas 11. So you'd have top of my head, I'm not going to think of one, but like a pun of a footballer's name.
Yeah.
And so he then started going on because I think Rich had mentioned a couple of the funny names that teams have come up with. Yeah, and so Charlie Baker was getting people to text in funny names, and he's like, just make sure you're respectful. But some of them we've heard before, all of the ones that we've had in the league and other ones that we've heard before. But yeah, very, very funny. It was worth a listen. I think he shared it on one of the socials. That's why I spotted it and I was able to find it. But as you know, I'm an avid TalkSport listener. I was surprised I didn't hear it, to be honest. I must have been in a meeting or something at the time, but
I think go back to it'll be interesting. I'm guessing I'll start with 4 teams. I mean, when we started the first league, it was 6 teams, but Poole started 4, didn't they? And they've never got out of 4 teams, Poole, which is a bit of a strange one because that's got quite a big catchment area.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I know this. Obviously, Dan Lloyd is the person to speak to in this case, coach of Poole. But if they open a second Bournemouth night, is that going to encroach on some of the Poole?
Probably.
Potential members? Is that is that going to be a detriment to that league?
Well,
I'm not saying
these
are just
to go over
to
Poole when they started it. So we lost probably half a dozen, maybe more, over to the Poole League. And our league wasn't even properly established at that point, because when they started the Poole League, I remember us going, why have they done that? Because our league isn't even anywhere near full. So it was a bit odd.
There's not one night of the week that I would be able to do other than a Friday anyway, for me, just because of work. I can't guarantee. Friday's the only night that I can guarantee that I'm not away for work.
Yeah.
So that kind of it works well for me, if that makes sense. I know everybody's going to be different, and it might pop up as a Wednesday, and suddenly you've got a catchment of 6 or 7 players that have been thinking about it but don't want to do a Friday night.
There were definitely people that don't do it because it's Friday.
A team.
Brett was one who gave up because it was a Friday night and he couldn't do a Friday night, so he'd probably go back. He'd probably join up on a Wednesday.
Yeah, I mean there'll be a few people who can't do Friday. Let's be honest, Friday night's quite a. Although in theory it's a bit of a double-edged thing, is that some people will be always free on a Friday, others will be never free because of the for weekends, etc. So it's just it's a balance, isn't it? Really. So those who are never free but might be free on a weekday might join the other one. The other way around, you know.
Oh, I hope it works.
I think so. I think it will split it. Yeah, I mean, it's all it's something they're looking to. It doesn't necessarily mean at the moment it's a guarantee.
Definitely. So would Steve be coaching that one as well, or would have a completely different coach?
I'm not 100% certain, but I believe Steve would do both. Don't want to quote me, and Steve will probably tell me off of that. I don't know.
No, I think he said that. I think in the
Did you say okay?
In the presentation, I'm certain he said by all intention it would be something that he would like to do or would be doing. He'd take on the second night as well. Generally, obviously I'm not looking for his job, but it's something I would generally consider if it was if it would work and I would be able to guarantee that I could be there every night. I'd consider doing a coaching.
Yeah.
Ooh, and I'm sure you would as well, Josh.
Yeah, I mean I would as well, but it's not something that's been offered my way or have never been mentioned. So it's the same with you, I guess, Jack. I don't know. So it's a case of just
definitely something I would consider. I would have to run it past my work, I think, to kind of say that this is what a night of the week that I wouldn't be able to commit to anything, which does make things a little bit difficult. But they're relatively understanding. We'll see how it goes, see what happens. But exciting times.
Yeah. We're expanding, which is the.
Oh yeah, I was going to say it's the overall expansion of Man v Fat, not just our local area as well, isn't it? So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and at this time of year, January and all, time New Year's, etc. So, anyway, shall we go into the roundup then?
Go on then.
The first week of the season. Yeah, I would say listeners of a nervous disposition should probably close their ears now, because Christmas is a wonderful time of year, or so wonderful that some of us obviously didn't feel the urge to stop celebrating. As a result, it's a record-breaking start to the season, with all 8 teams gaining weight and the club as a whole gaining 134.6 kilos. But it's not all bad news, though. We're back in action and ready to start getting back to our pre-Christmas weights and beyond. So here are the first week's match results. The Reds won 11-8 against the Whites. Your Purples, Ben, with some rolled over milestones, I believe, won 18-11 against the Greens, who have suffered that
poor bastards,
indignity 2 seasons in a row. Now
I felt so bad for Lukey. I did say that to him, poor bloke.
The Blacks lost 18-12 against the Blues. Again, I think a couple of you had rollovers.
Yeah. And you'll come to it anyway, but Josh Buxton also hit another one, so
that's amazing.
He carried one over and then hit the first one back. So
happy days.
Yeah. Just doesn't stop, does he?
Nope.
Anyway, Oranges won 9-7 against us Yellows in the close opener there.
Close one.
So none of the teams who came out on top managed a pitch win this week, should be said. So the Reds and Whites drew 2-2 before Reds eased ahead of courtesy of the Scales, while the defeat trio of Greens, Blacks and Yellows all at least have a pitch win to console themselves with. So 19 men achieved the rare feat of losing weight over the Christmas break, scoring a goal apiece for their teams in the process. Each team has at least one festive loser, with the Reds and Greens topping the charts with 4 each.
Well done.
So Reds were also the team who came closest to an overall loss, only gaining 2.2 kilos collectively. To put that in context, the next best were the Whites, who gained 7.7 kilos. Were the only other team to gain less than 10 kilos as well.
Wow.
So while 3 teams gained 20 or more kilos each. Fist bump there from Ben.
I'm guessing that was one of us, but fair play.
The biggest gainers, who we won't name, put on a staggering 33.9 kilos. It's fair to say that we've given ourselves plenty of room for improvement in the coming weeks, as we said. So
that's the team of the week we all wanted to see this week, wasn't it?
Yeah, Christmas team of the week. The biggest gains.
There were 7 milestones, 5 of which were held over from last season, and 2 freshly earned ones were Lewis Vasilina Turner reaching his 15%, and Josh Buxton, as mentioned, breaking new ground to add a 20% to the 15% he was holding over from last season. Amazing. The other milestone men were James Hunt with 15%, Harry Reid 15%, and Matt Waterman, who hit his 25 and 30%, all rolled over from last season. So a huge congratulations to all the milestone men.
Amazing.
I think also it was just impressive because you had to be below your milestone weight in order to hit it.
Yeah.
And I think, I'm not saying they were close, but obviously there's an element of you've got to be roughly within the ballpark, haven't you?
Yeah. Well done, lads. That's effort, that is. Fair play.
Yeah, I know. Last man standing starts this coming week, we should say, and 35 players will enjoy a safety net of a grace week. So last week's 19 losers are joined by 9 who kept their gains to 1 kilo or less. Yes, Jack, you are among them.
Well done.
Yes.
Very well done, mate. Plus the 7 new starters joining, or in one case rejoining the club this week or last week. So that's quite a nice one to rejoin and have a grace week.
Yeah, jammy kit.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Buxton, unsurprisingly, leads team of the week, having lost an incredible 4.7 kilos since the last weigh-in.
Over Christmas as well.
I know.
Blame that puts me to shame.
It's an impressive looking top 7 by any standards, even before you consider that these losses were achieved over the period including Christmas festivities, and which laid waste to the club's collective tally. The top 7 listed here should be very proud of their achievements. So that's Josh Buxton with 4.7, Eddie White with 2.5 kilos, although I understand he was quite ill over the Christmas period. Not that takes away from his loss. I'm just more saying that that's an unfortunate thing to have over a Christmas period. So sorry to hear that, Eddie, mate.
Sorry, bud.
Tony Wright with 2.5 kilos. Nice. Jesus once lost 2.1 kilos.
Yes, Jesus.
Yes. Phil Haley lost 1.9 kilos. I think he turned up and didn't play as well.
Bless him.
I think he's injured. I can't remember precisely. Harry Reid lost 1.7 kilos.
Yes,
and George Howe lost 1.2 kilos.
Yes, Georgie.
Nice. Yeah. Really good, lads. Fantastic.
So we are up and running, as we mentioned, albeit with a little extra weight in most cases. New Year is a perfect time to change things up and start shifting the unwanted gift of Christmas weight. How long will it take us as a club to get to our season's tally back to 0? Unsure, but that's entirely up to us. So it's over us to.
There'll be a monument. There will be a huge loss this week, I bet you. I mean, it won't be that much, but there will be a big shift this week.
I think some of that will be. We talk about the waterway. I think it's. I don't know if it's common. I don't really know, but I think when you tend to gain a decent amount of weight in a short space of time, it's also a little bit easier to shift it quite quickly.
Yeah, well, it's usually to do with unloading carbs, isn't it? Because carbs absorb water, so you tend to, if you eat a load of carbs, especially over Christmas, which we obviously do because it's crisps and biscuits and pastries and all that kind of stuff, you'll be onboarding quite a lot of extra fluid. So you're right, it will. As soon as people stop eating that kind of stuff, it usually drops off pretty quickly. So yeah.
We should just say, by the way, we've added a new incentive to the league, haven't we?
Dun, dun,
We
dun.
certainly have, yeah.
Big announcement. Go on.
Our own lose to win. I don't know what we're going to call it. We haven't actually got a name on it, have we?
We haven't
Really?
even thought about it, have we? Copied it
Up
off
to
someone
the
else.
Community to
What should we call it?
think of a name.
I don't know.
God, we can't do it now. We'll be here for
Can't
half
do it
an
on the
hour.
spot. We'll have to think of it before the first one's given. Basically,
We've got a few weeks.
We've got some WWE style belts. We've got for 3 weight categories, and essentially it's a straight weight loss challenge to get your name etched onto those belts, and you can wear over your shoulder with pride until someone takes it off you in the next 4 weeks or whatever it is. So the first one will be from weeks 2 this coming week, as in your weigh-ins from weeks 2, 3, 4 and 5 will count towards those 4 weeks towards this round 1, essentially, of this challenge. So the biggest losers in each weight category will then get their name on the belt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those 5 weeks.
Bit of an extra little
So on and so
incentive
forth.
there.
Yeah. And I know there's some massive WWE fans in the group. It's often talked about. So even for a small plastic belt, replica belt, I'm sure there'll be a few people who are pretty keen on getting their hands on it. So we'll go from there. Especially when
lose to win Royal Rumble. I just top of my head, just come up with that one, maybe.
Yeah. I'm happy with that. As good as name as any, Jack.
Because everyone's in it, aren't they? That's everybody's involved. Yeah. So I guess that's a shot.
So should be the lose to win Belly Rumble.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah. I did actually mention the weight categories.
Yeah.
So it so happens we've got a relatively even split of people across the categories we've kind of come up with. So for lack of a better term, unfortunately, we've had to split the league into 3 categories. I think it's just a fairer way of making sure that everyone has a chance, because you can't expect someone who's like 80 kilos to lose the same kind of weight as someone who's 120 kilos. No. It's just not really going to be fair. So we have therefore 3 categories. So the lightweight is anyone under 90 kilos or who started under 90 kilos at the start of round 1.
Nice.
Anyone between 90 and 110 kilos would be in the middleweight category when they started, and anyone over 110 would be in the heavyweight category, essentially. Nice. And that's quite an even split. Actually, there's a lot of people in that middleweight category.
I bet.
Yeah. Compared to the other 2, but it's relatively even split across the league. So that's where we're starting, and we'll go from there.
Love it.
You know, if you obviously go from one category to another, it's only where you started. When a new round comes, so when we get to the next round 2 onwards, it'll be where you currently are then. So if you were 111 kilos and you got down to 107, for example, you'd still be in the heavyweight category for this round, but then you'd start in the middleweight category next round.
Yeah, nice.
Etc. From there. So I'm hoping it brings some incentive to people in the league, and go from there. I can't honestly say that these belts are the most premium quality thing you're ever going to come across.
Sell it, Josh. Sell it.
But they are cool.
Top end, top notch, official WWE belts.
They are official Mattel.
Official merch. And you will get your name. However we're going to do it, we will get your name on there. Might be able to get one of the iron-on names or something to do it. But people's names will be on there, and they'll be forever on there, and you'll be forever remembered that way.
If all goes well, we'll graduate to full replicas, absolutely,
big leather belts.
Yeah, exactly.
And like any incentive, I think it's important to say that there's obviously, I'm sure you have, or we'll mention, Josh, there's no goals involved. It's literally just an incentive that we've come up with. But we come up with we've stolen from somewhere else, poached it from somewhere else. But the idea behind it, and as always with all of the incentives, is it only works if you guys get behind it. We're obviously going to speak about it on here. We'll share images on our socials for the people that win the belts each 4 weeks or 5 weeks, whatever it may be. But the real main focus is getting everybody involved and everybody interested, and you can swing a win very quickly. You've seen how quickly some weeks that somebody might not turn up and somebody nicks 2 kg on them. Every week will be really, really important to it. So give it a crack, see how you like it. Give us a feedback on it as well. If you want us to change anything or think about something else, or you've got an idea, please do. But yeah, please help us run with this, because we really want to make it work and get you all involved.
Yeah. I just like the idea. You get to like week 3 of the challenge, and let's just say someone at the top's currently on lost 4.3 kilos, and someone's behind's got lost 4.2, and you just know going in you've got to beat that one person to get that belt, and it's close, and you just and it might just give you that little push, to not have that one thing you were thinking, I would have, that kind of thing, really. So, and it all adds up.
I just want to see somebody strutting around 2 Rivers before kickoff with that over their shoulder, say something. Yeah, I'm the heavyweight champion of the world.
So you're going to do you're doing your other challenges as well this season, mate. Have you got some lined up, or are you not going to?
I actually don't have any of those challenges lined up.
That's
this season. Well, the thing is, so. This is kind of you just catching me off guard a little bit, because I hadn't necessarily planned to do them. Mainly for my own time and sanity, if I'm really honest at the moment. But it's not something I'm against doing at all. It's not something I'm against including. I had it actually another challenge in mind, another incentive that everyone could have got involved in.
Right.
But I think I'm going to save that till next season, because the weather will be a little bit better. One can hope.
Yeah, and it's a mix-up.
And I think, we'll have a mix-up. And I also think, just by the nature of the challenge, it needs a big community push. And so there's an element of it as well that we could, it doesn't just have to be inclusive of a small incentive for us. We could make a big deal out of it across Mavi Fat as a whole. Nice. So I've got something on mind. I'm not going to spoil it.
No.
But I just didn't have time to do it this season. And
that's fine.
So we'll go from there. So yes, challenges potentially. I would need to have a bit of a discussion and speak what we are going to do throughout the season. But I think there may be. I think if we introduce challenges this season like we did last season, they won't have any goals involved. That's the only thing. I think that's the most likely outcome. I should say this time. That'll be my choice, or. I say my choice, but it'd be a collective choice.
Spot prizes,
rather than we add goals on a random week, like we did last time. So, just something for people to do if they wish to get involved, and I will do the results as always, but not something that there'll be any advantage to any team for goals on a particular week, etc.
Well, we talked about getting some spot prizes, didn't we? Like sponsorship for spot prizes. So if anyone's listening locally who fancies sponsoring a spot prize for one of the challenges, that would be a nice little thing, wouldn't it? Maybe a day at a spa or something like that.
Business owners amongst us as well, I'm sure.
Yeah. Sponsor a spot prize for a Manly Fat Challenge. Get your name out there as being a generous contributor to the Man versus Fat community here in Bournemouth and Poole and the surrounding areas.
An opportunity to have a little brag about what your business does as well. There might be somebody within our could be 80 plus people now that we've got that might need your services at some point.
Absolutely.
So, great idea.
Yeah. So that's the WWE incentive-y thing.
Love that.
Nice.
We're looking forward to donning someone with a belt in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Make a big thing over the first one as well, and that will get people interested. I should imagine somebody like Scott Hardy is going to be well up for having one of those belts. Dan Lloyd definitely will be as well. He loves his WWE, doesn't he? And Jesus does too.
I know Alex Jones in our team.
Alex,
he's well up for it.
That's going to be a moment if one of them win it, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. So has there been any news on the ballot for the tournament, the national tournament this year? Anyone seen anything? Because I know the date's been released, but no news around how
I've not seen anything.
That does bring me to something else, unless you want to continue on in Matt v Fat General.
No, go on.
No.
We're going to talk about the
awards.
Yeah.
And the nominations are still open for awards, and they close. Yes, they close on the 20th.
So was that Sunday? Is it?
That's this weekend, essentially.
So this weekend.
To get your nominations in for the Man v Fat Awards, we'd really, really encourage everyone in the league to at least submit something, and have a real think about what you're writing and adding in particular. So I know that they pay particular attention to the content of the awards,
the
detail, and so even if it's 10-15 minutes of your time, we would really appreciate people for any category, for any people in the league, any groups, anything you can think of, to really share amongst for the good work that is done in this league. Because
we want to see our name in lights. Having witnessed last time, I'm sure you two can agree, having witnessed last time, for not just because it was us, but only one Bournemouth nomination in the whole thing, and all the amazing things that we have. We've got an incredible coach. We've got a really dedicated couple of refs in Ian and Alex that are good referees. I know people have their pops at refs at times, but they are there, and they do get what we're doing, and they do get the programme, and do want us to do well. And then we've got the content creator 23 MPH boys, and the stuff that they've done, that's amazing. And again, I'm not just saying it for the sake of us three. I think I'd much prefer to hear this time round loads more names being mentioned, and us getting the credit that we deserved. Even if nobody from Bournemouth wins anything, just getting mentioned is a real good step. And I'd really like to hear more names. The awards this year are in West London, aren't they? At the Olympic Park. Somewhere there. So I know that the three of us were a little bit tentative about travelling up to Manchester again. But if we're invited, I would quite like to go to East London, and if Josh isn't flying to Vegas the next morning, then we'll probably try and have a night out and enjoy ourselves after as well, which would be quite cool.
It depends.
Get a group of us up there.
What's that? Your sister doing what? Oh, what date is it? Yeah, what date is it?
I don't actually. What you mean, the date of the awards?
Yeah.
I don't actually know. Do we know?
I don't know either. I'm not sure it's been confirmed.
It was the first weekend of June, the first day in June, wasn't it? Well, May 31st or June 1st it was last year.
Yeah.
So if it's around that, that's fine. But 2 weeks later,
I imagine it'll be. We'll see.
So, and London's much easier. So
certainly is.
So. Yeah.
Quite an easy train ride or drive up there. So
easy.
And no excuse to not go out for a beer after.
But that starts with nominations, because then when you're on the ballot, you want to go, and when you're recognised. So, I just can't say enough. Really, please use 15 minutes of your time to get something in of quality that you think represents what you. So I know there's plenty of people talk about all the time on the sidelines to everyone in general how much they see someone in particular, one person in particular, could be a group of people, whatever it is.
Yeah.
The great work that's being done, the success stories they want to share, and we know some people are quite humble about it. They don't necessarily share it, big themselves up, but we know other people will do it for them, and this is a really good opportunity to do that.
Yeah,
because whatever you're thinking, just pop it down in writing in a nominations form to Man v Fat.
I want to see a full table of Bournemouth boys at the awards, a full table of us cheering at every time Bournemouth are mentioned, like the Oval boys were, and Yarmouth and all sorts. So here, far and wide, weren't they? The names being called out. So let's get on it and do somebody a favour. Do say something nice about somebody that they will appreciate it. I'm sure.
Yeah. On that note, we spent a bit of time talking to the Yeovil lads, didn't we? It's nice to see that there's a 11s fixture being put together for that. So well done, Jackie, sorting that out. I'm assuming that was you.
Yeah, so obviously Aaron came on the pod. He got in touch. I I messaged him saying, "Do us a favour, mate. Drop us a nomination for the awards." And he said, "Yeah, let's sort out an 11s game as well as a return." So I've agreed to do so. So yeah, I've managed to book it when I'm actually going to the women's North London derby with the kids. So
Excellent.
I'm not available, sadly. But that doesn't matter. We've got an incredible team available for it. And we will need it because, as I'm sure Aaron will be listening, but they have a very, very good team. So we need to go there, all guns blazing, in the right spirit, obviously, with a Man v Fat spirit, and that to not be forgotten. But yeah, it's really good. And Josh has also sorted out a Southampton game as well, haven't you, Josh?
Yes. Nice. So the Paul lads who gathered up some of the Bournemouth guys to play Southampton before Christmas and time. Basically, I was keen to get a game involved with them, and we managed to get something in for early March. So
good stuff.
Yeah, another away day. It's a shame, but obviously our pitch is not really available at the kind of time for home games, but they're not too far either of them, and it's good to get some lads up for it and go along.
Definitely. Whilst we have everybody's attention with the 11s as well, I am working on the interclub match still. It's not yet confirmed. Sadly, the gentleman that arranges it for us and opens it up and keeps it open later than it normally is for us to be able to do it has retired. So I got a text message back from him about 3 weeks after I messaged him saying, "Hi Jack, hope things well. I've retired from Dorset. Can't remember, Active Dorset or Dorset Active. Can you not book it yourself by now?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can, but I can't open it when it's not open." So going to wait another 4 weeks to hear back from him, I think. But we'll see how that goes. If not, we'll have to explore other avenues. But we will get something on definitely for everybody to be involved.
Yeah, I think we're quite keen on having a little bit more of a fuller, but 11's calendar of some kind, aren't we, this year? I think there's we do, the interclubs are brilliant, by the way, and thank you, Jack, for doing all the effort you put into that. They are fantastic to get everyone involved, but I think it's nice just occasionally to have a game against another club, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
So,
and there's plenty around us that within an hour and a half's drive max that we can arrange with, and we pretty much have contacts at all of them now. So we'll certainly continue to do that as the 11's management team will try and do that.
Got to get an Isle of Wight one in the calendar.
Yes, definitely. They want to come over
jolly
as well,
over there.
Just need the pitch availability. So they're definitely willing to have us, which is good. And I know that they're in the Southern Mini League thing as well, so we'd have to squeeze it in amongst fixtures that they've got planned, but I don't see why not.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to them. Anyway, if my hand's good enough to play. The first one's only 4 weeks away.
You'll be running the line.
You'll be all right, mate. You'll be all right.
Yeah, I know. Fine. So looking forward to that. Anyway,
good.
Is there anything else we want to chat about in terms of Man v Fatage for now, or do we want to move on to a little bit of football specific, or anything else in particular you want to chat?
I'm happy to
I can't think of anything. Yeah, talk about football.
Yeah, I mean, there was something on my mind, but it's only just my personal thing that came up, and I mentioned to you guys previously about the biggest traitors in football.
Oh yeah,
biggest traitors. Oh, well, that made me laugh. I know you're going to say that's bloody brilliant. Is that a Google advert?
Yeah. So you might have seen the name.
That's like Paddy Power level piss take, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it's brilliant.
So his name is obviously amongst it, and we'll get to it, but I'm sure. But other than let's just say, other than Sol Campbell, who we know as a kind of, is there anyone else you can think of who are bloody big traitors that you can think of for footballing in footballing terms? Because we know this, there's a big thing. Yeah, Carlos Tevez. Yeah, I guess.
Tevez went from red to blue, didn't he? Did he?
Yes,
he
indeed.
Yes.
He did.
And as is the way with anyone who moves from club to club, you just say, "Oh, we never liked him anyway," so it doesn't matter. It's a bit like the whole thing about Trent's leaving to potentially Real Madrid. Oh, we never liked him.
Oh yeah, Michael piped up on Tuesday night, didn't he? He's like, "Oh, he's no good anyway." Yeah, right, okay. Van Persie can go fuck himself.
But I mean, it wasn't Arsenal to Spurs, was it?
No,
it's the big rivalry, isn't it?
He went and he got his career deserved, mate.
Yeah, he won a trophy won the Premier League the first year, didn't he?
Yeah. So who can blame him?
Trying to think who else. There's got to be more.
There's some big ones. Luis Figo. He was at Barca captain, and he moved to Real Madrid.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So he was Barca captain, and he moved to Real Madrid. So I think
big ones.
Luis Figo is probably among them. He was mad. I think that's pretty big. Jamie Carragher, if you can consider the fact he's a massive Everton fan and he played for Liverpool his entire career.
Yeah, he's definitely not an Everton fan now, is he?
No, well,
he couldn't be a bigger fucking Liverpool fan.
I've noticed though he's come out of the woodwork and started saying, "Oh, Trent's defending is so bad, blah blah blah," and he's going on about it now. I'm just like, yeah, because he's not staying at the club.
He's given Mo a load of grief as well, isn't he? And Salah's come out like he's obsessed with me, and Carragher's like, "I am, because you're incredible. You're our best player." But he's a toss spot as well while we're on the case. Yeah. Who else? Snakes. What else you got, Josh?
Well, Ryan Fraser, if you can call him a snake.
Oh gosh, yeah. What a piece of shit he is. Yeah.
There's no. What do they say now? There's no loyalty in football anymore. Which
no. What's Roy Keane say?
You'll get me on the Michael Beale track again.
Yes, Mr. Beale himself. Yeah.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
There is one I did have, but it isn't a football. Steve Bruce. I mean, I think he's like the ultimate because I know not as a player, but as a manager, he managed Newcastle and Sunderland.
He'll manage anyone.
He managed Birmingham and Villa.
Yeah, you're right.
He managed Sheffield United and Sheffield Wednesday.
He's at Blackpool now, isn't he? Flying at Blackpool. Well, not quite flying, but he's doing all right.
An old mate of mine managed some properties for AFC Bournemouth's captain Tommy Elphick when he moved to Birmingham from Bournemouth, I think. To Aston Villa from Bournemouth, and he was chatting to him and asking him about Steve Bruce, and he said how, and I didn't know this, but allegedly it's quite common practice that Steve Bruce as a manager, not as a head coach, literally never took training. He would sit in his office that overlooked the training, in his chair watching training from up there. He wouldn't actually be on the pitch coaching.
There's quite a few that do that, though, aren't there?
Yeah.
It blows my mind in a lot of ways. Just to think that's because we always attribute a bad performance to the manager, or the manager always gets attributed to a bad performance or a run of form or whatever. But if they're not on the grass coaching and having an impact, they might be the ones picking the team and haven't kind of given that inspirational chat before they go out or rallying them up at half time, whatever they may be.
Yeah.
But for me as a player, I'd be like, what about the fella on the grass that's out there coaching us? Why I'd listen to him more than somebody else.
But I think that's modern. I think that's more modern style, though, isn't it? Back in the day, you had the manager who was all down there all the time, giving it beans on the sideline, shouting at people, etc., running the train. But nowadays, they have coaches for everything. You have all sorts of different
coaches. Don't get me started on some of the coaching stuff.
But this is it, you see. So
yeah, I know, Jack. I know. I'm watching.
Saints are beating Man United.
Anyway, so let's gloss over that part quickly. So what I was going to say was, so the whole thing about the manager thing is that, like Sir Alex Ferguson, he's probably the greatest managers ever. Yeah, but he's not. He wasn't a coach in terms of exactly. So their job might be to pick the team and what the coaches tell them, and basically keep the squad happy on some level, essentially. Yeah. But the coaches are the people on the grass, essentially. Yeah. What I because of the Man United thing, I lost track, Ben, of what you were saying about. I got the coaches for everything. Was it?
Yeah. So that it's different. It's very different now. That and you tend to have, the club has a manager who is the spokesperson, or they have a head coach who is the spokesperson, and they're different. Or they have a director of football, and then they have a head coach. There's different models, but it's very, very different. It's changed dramatically over the last probably 10 years maybe. Where there's like goalkeeper coach, defensive coach, set piece coaches.
Don't get me started on the set piece coaching.
It's mental. It's completely mental that they have these different, and they bring on specific players because there's a set piece. It's just nuts. It's becoming like fucking American football or something, where they bring on specific people to make specific plays.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Yeah. So, but that's the way it's going. So, and it seems to be working. So
the detail they go into, so the analytics they go into. I mean, I was joking a bit there, Jack, about the set piece coaching thing.
No,
but
I got it by the smirk on your face.
Yeah, but it was more just like, should the set piece coach be standing on the touchline alongside Mikel Arteta, just to stand there, even though he can't deal instructions to them from 60 yards away, and they already know what they're doing? Yeah. I just think you're just standing in front of a camera, aren't you? Really? As an
example, last night he came into play last night because Spurs were leaving 2 players up. So at that point, he was then going. Arteta left it to him to say which players needed to stay, which players he still wanted in the box attacking the crosses. And I think the more it is. What's interesting with it, and I don't want to do the whole Arsenal chat because we do it every time it feels like, and I feel like I bore people to death with it. But
no,
there's so much spotlight on it this time round. But they were doing it last season. They were the top goal scorers from set pieces last season. It's now. It's a narrative that's come round, and it's just now that's what people are talking about, if that makes sense. And it is what it is. Like there's teams that are copying it, and what it is not just Arteta, but coaches at the top. Which I'm not saying he's a top coach, because I'm starting to doubt that a little bit. But at the top coaches and the top managers look for those 1%, those 1% marginal gains, and that's what makes differences. That's what can be the difference between winning a game and losing a game, or winning a game and drawing a game, is those marginal gains. And why not focus on, if you can score, if you've got the ability with the defenders that you've got that are very good at attacking the ball in the air, as in Gabriel and Saliba, and then throw in somebody like Partey and Timber and Havertz, you've got a tall, strong team. Why not go for it? It's almost mad that it's almost mental that people are battering them for it. But that's my opinion, and I'm rose-tinted glasses with it. But it's just mental that you're taking a piss out of somebody scoring a goal. Like, they're not winning a corner on purpose, are they? They're going, we've won a corner, let's make the most of it. Oh shit, we've had the most corners for the last 3 seasons. Why not try and score more goals from corners?
Yeah. We were talking about this ages ago, weren't we, Jack? Again, to get into the Arsenal completely, but we're saying they've changed the style. They've gone for big, strong people, and set pieces have been a bit much more of a focus, and grit, essentially, is what we were saying, wasn't it? It might not be quite as pretty. We get the whole anti-football, whatever people say, as a laugh, but it's just it's got to win something. Got to win something.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway, I'm not sure. By the way, we finished our biggest traitors. I can't think of anyone else. By the way, I was just
no, I can't. Was it inspired by the traitors being on TV, Josh? Do you watch the traitors?
No, it was not that, actually. Partly it was that Sol Campbell advert. That was genius. I absolutely loved it.
It was really funny. Yeah, so
do you know what makes me laugh about Sol is that he's gone on for years and years and years about the amount of shit that he gets from Spurs and wishes that he didn't, and then he goes and does this.
Because someone's giving him a shitload of cash.
The guy never regrets it. I mean, come on, the guy can't regret it. I mean,
no, he is like the ultimate Judas, isn't he? I think he's got no shame in it at all, and the way
Ashley
that it
Cole
was all
did
done.
The same thing, didn't he? He did it from Arsenal to Chelsea.
The big thing with Ashley Cole is it was everybody gets tapped up now. Nobody, unless you're David Sullivan, that throws a 40 million bid in for Duran, knowing that he's not going to get it, just to appease the West Ham fans to go, look, I am trying to buy players. They're never selling Duran for 40 million. He was never going to get it for that. But 99% of the time, the bids that these teams are putting in are making sure that the people that need to know, that get it out into the wider world and the wider press, know about it.
Yeah.
They only do it with a good chance of actually making the deal. And the idea is also the clubs that are receiving the bid often like it, because if they do have a player that wants to go, it then stimulates the market for that player. And they go, Man United might go, oh, fuck, Chelsea are bidding for that player, but we really want him, so we'll bid more. Mm-hmm. And that's and it is the way of the world. And with the Ashley Cole situation, it was almost like people didn't believe it happened, but I think it's because he personally got caught in a few meetings at London hotels with Chelsea hierarchy that kind of made it worse.
Yeah.
But he was probably up to other shit as well, knowing what he's like.
Probably.
But it was hilarious. He was on Peter Crouch's podcast recently. I've not listened to it because I can't stand the fucker, but I saw little clips on
I love
TikTok.
Crouchy.
No, I'm talking about fucking Ashley
Oh, you're
Cole.
talking about Cole.
I was going to say, Crouchy's exactly who you need right now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. And Ashley Cole was like, all feel sorry for me, or they're all being mean, and this is why it happened, and I didn't really do anything wrong. And I'm like, mate, the horse is bolted. Like, you've no chance of trying to save any relationship there at all.
No.
And he was England's best left back for a long time. He was quality. He was like that new generation of left back, wasn't he? He was kind of like the bombing forward, not just pass the ball to somebody in midfield and let them create something. He's up there with a big traitor. He's definitely up there with a big traitor.
What about Here's one.
But you said there's no loyalty. I just think it's like one of these things nowadays. If you're a player, like imagine you're a player in the modern game right now.
Aren't
they? Yeah. If you're a player in the modern game and you know your value, or your agent tells you what your value is, and you sit there and go, okay, you've got a chance right now. If you were an Everton player, and Liverpool came calling for you, that right now, this window, as they are, and you're going to get twice as much money. You're going to be in a team with world-class players. You're probably going to win some trophies. What are you doing?
See you later.
Like, seriously, like, what are you doing? Are you going to really care?
Yeah, because the days are gone of these teams being filled with local lads who've been at the academy since they were a kid and worked their way up to the first team. Those days are long gone.
Anyway.
Well, exactly. The teams are full of mainly foreign players or not locally bred players. Of course, there's one or two, but for the most part, they're not. They don't have those allegiances. They don't have that. There's no loyalty there. For the most part, of course, there are the odd few, your Stevie G's and people like that who come through and who spend their entire careers at one club, blah blah blah. The one for me that just springs to mind is Frank Lampard, because he was such a massive icon at Chelsea and still is. And then he had that season at City.
But then he was a West Ham boy, wasn't he? So his move from West Ham to Chelsea would have been.
But Chelsea, but he didn't get a traitor. He didn't get a traitor, Mark, because he's Frank Lampard, and they still loved him anyway. So fair play. But that was quite a big one.
One thing that is, I think teams factor into when they're buying players and selling players now, that you're right, there is no loyalty. If you look at the likes of right on our doorstep, if you look at the likes of Kirkez, Zabani, Huijsen, the type of players that Bournemouth have bought relatively cheap and young and inexperienced, if they understand the trajectory that those players are on, or could predict the trajectory those players are on, they're not going to stay at Bournemouth.
Nah,
and
they'll be sold.
Like you said, they're a commodity. They're an investment. You get the best out of them while you have them, and then you wish them the best, and you double your money and go again.
Absolutely.
And the good thing, the only loyalty within it is when you see players, somebody like Kirkez or Huijsen or Zabani, sign a new contract now. So if you've got like a new contract out of Huijsen now, you know that he's not going to finish that contract, but you know that you're going to get a shit ton of extra money because you go, look, this player's actually got 2 years left on his contract instead of 6 months. And that's what players have within their gift to do to help teams.
Yeah.
And so signing a new contract nowadays, you kind of go, it's amazing he's signed a new contract. You go, no, he's signed a new contract because he knows that he'll get more money for wages when he moves. His wages have got where he is now. His wages have got when he moves. But the club will want him to do it. And they go, look, it suits you. We'll pay you more money for the short time that you're going to be here. And it suits us because we're going to get 10 million more because of the length of your contract left.
Yeah.
So it's the way of the world. Unfortunately, football is finance, isn't it? Football isn't football. Football is the pound note behind it, and the way of the world is very similar.
Yeah, it's quite ironic, really, because the fans just want that loyalty. All the fans really want is for the people who are playing for their team and wearing their shirt to give it 100%.
Yeah, but I also think there's an element of it almost doesn't matter where you come from on some level. Yeah. If you are giving that, does it? Really?
Yeah, no, of course not.
If you just see a player
of course
giving
not.
absolutely everything, it doesn't matter if they were an Arsenal player and now they're at Spurs on some level. You know, just fans are going to, the Spurs fans are quickly going to be like, oh yeah, he's just giving absolutely everything. He clearly wants to be here, and then it's within, Where if you imagine it would just be the Arsenal fans alone, it'd be like, God, why is he's gone over there and he started giving and everything? What's this, bullshit?
Adebayor.
But that quickly go.
How did I forget Adebayor?
Adebayor's a good one.
Oh my God, how did I forget him? But you're right. You are right.
I love he ran. Was that whole thing he ran the length of the pitch in one game? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it ran the length of the pitch for City to celebrate in front of Arsenal, and he had Arsenal fans were ripping chairs out and throwing them stadium chairs and throwing them onto the pitch and stuff. I think one of the ball boys' stools got thrown on him as well. Yeah, he knew how to do that well. He came back to Arsenal to play against Arsenal for Spurs, and he stamped on Santi Cazorla. Who stamps on Santi Cazorla? The nasty bastard. He got sent off for it, and everybody went mental. One, because it's Santi, because nobody wants to hurt him. He's like a little teddy bear. But for him to do that as well, it was awful. He was a right prick.
Yeah, well, there's a few. Let's put it that way across football.
There is, yeah.
Nice subject.
I keep thinking
I enjoyed that one, Josh. That's good.
Yeah, it's a good one, Josh. I like it. Very good.
Just a thought. Anyway, I think that might be it for today, potentially.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, I know, Jack, you've got a time-sensitive matter to attend to, football.
Yeah, I do, but I'm a little bit closer than I normally would be to football. So
we've got a few minutes then.
Hit us up with some fantasy.
Well, actually, I do have some fantasy. Actually, I have a decent amount of fantasy, unfortunately. So,
who's top of the league now? Hey.
Well, that's me right now.
Yeah, you've had a good Christmas, mate.
Well, apart from Bruno Fernandes doing F all at the moment, so it's not really going to help me.
Yeah, but you're still on top of our league.
Could have told you that.
Yeah. It is Southampton, mate. You can't just assume that a team that have done well against City, Spurs, and bloody Arsenal in their own stadiums recently can't do anything against Southampton.
It's just typical of the inconsistency, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, so fantasy football. So firstly, I wanted to kind of just talk about chip strategy and stuff coming up because of this part of the season, because most people tend to forget that there are going to be blank game weeks and double game weeks and things like this to attend to because of cup fixtures and that.
Yeah.
So I firstly should say no, anything I say is basically team dependent. Usual rules apply. T's and C's, all that kind of stuff. Don't go spending loads of minus points to rip your team up just for something I say now.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. That's what you're saying, Josh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chuck some TLC references in here if I can.
Yeah. No scrubs.
Yeah. But this is just what I was thinking on the avenue of things. So there's a double game week 24. It's been announced.
Right.
So this is the result of the postponement for the Merseyside derby over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
This has been confirmed to go into game week 24. So Liverpool will have Bournemouth and Everton away in game week 24, and Everton will have Leicester and Everton will have Leicester and Liverpool at home in that same game week. So if I were in a fantasy perspective, I'd be looking to get three Liverpool players in the team before this, as possible. Best entry is probably game week 23 because they've got Ipswich at home, followed by the double, followed by, I think it's someone like Southampton after that. And potentially getting at least one Everton player, because even though it's a bad double, you still want double this really.
I'm not going to get any Everton
It could just
players.
be Pickford.
They need to score some goals first, surely.
Like that,
Pico's a good shout, actually.
Yeah,
he's top of the goal scoring, goalkeeping.
So that's just a thought. If you have a triple captain, this is where I would play it. Salah, obviously.
The only problem is everyone's going to do that, though. Everyone's got their triple captain chip. They're all going to do it, so you're not going to gain anything from it.
I know, but you say that, but ultimately, it's about getting the most points possible between now and the end of the season. It doesn't matter that so many other people are going to captain, because the other couple of players in your team might do well, not do well.
Yeah.
It's just, and whatever avenue is to get the most points. If so many people think, it's the best avenue, and you go down that avenue, you don't need to do something different just because for the sake of it. You can just, in another couple of weeks, you could just captain someone different to chase, if you needed to. So in other weeks, big things like chips is probably a good idea to be.
Who's consistently playing for Liverpool other than Salah then? Because I put Diaz in, and Diaz doesn't. He plays every other game.
This is the problem.
Well,
Trent and Salah are the people I've got. And truthfully, I'll be honest now, the people I'm going to think about going to for the double, the third player, is probably Alisson in goal.
Right.
Because I just cannot guarantee any of the others. I just don't, especially in a double week. I just don't think like Gakpo's probably the one I would choose if I had to choose any of them.
He's
but then
using
you've
him a lot,
got
isn't he?
Diaz, Jota, Nunez potentially. You know,
Yeah, but you see, as soon as one of them gets
people just
injured,
like-
though, as well, you don't.
Yeah.
It,
Okay.
then
If
it
like
changes.
if like this week, for example, Gakpo and Diaz got injured, I'll just get Jota. I just
totally.
won't do anyone else but Jota. He has to be in the team. But that's just, other than Salah, there's just no one I can think of. You know,
it's mad.
Gravenberch plays a lot, doesn't he, for them? But
yeah, but it's not really a fantasy
yellows.
asset. Yeah, it's not really a fantasy asset.
No.
It's you want people who are going to keep clean sheets, so defenders and goalkeepers, or who've got attacking threats. So Trent, that's why I got Trent.
Robertson's.
Or you want people who's involved in a lot of goals, and unfortunately, Gravenberch's neither of those. Plus, he's a midfielder, so he doesn't get the bonus of the goal. He doesn't get the bonus of clean sheets, and he's not really attacking He's not involved in all the goals. So yeah. Anyway, that was that one. Blank game week 29. So which two teams make it to the Carabao Cup final, or blank, who as in not have a fixture, in game week 29, as all their opponents. So if the favourites get through, for example, which is Newcastle and Liverpool at the moment, then they will blank, as will Crystal Palace and Aston Villa, who were their opponents, as an example.
Right.
So this will be confirmed in the gap between game weeks 24 and 25, when the second fixture of those ones is played, current ones. And then those fixtures will move to game week 33 to create a double.
Okay.
So there's a couple of main.
Who have they got in there? Who Liverpool and who Newcastle got there?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Come on, you should be on it, Joshy.
I'll get there in a second. I think it's my notes. Maybe. So the two main strategies I'm thinking of for those is what is called dead ending into 29, i.e. what you do is you set up your team so you don't have any blank players in 29, and then you wild card the week after to change it all around again. So does that make sense?
I'm with you. Yeah.
So you get transfers in into knowing that after 29 you're not going to have the same team because you're going to wild card. But that only works for people who have a wild card. Available. So other one is to free hit 29.
Yeah.
If it's big, I would avoid doing that if you can, if you don't have a wild card, just because it's a better time to use it, in my opinion. But anyway, that's just to get rid of like your Liverpool and Newcastle players. If you were going to dead end, that was, for example, and then you wild card them back in on 30. So double game week 33. So as I said, this would be the two teams that made it to the Carabao Cup final plus their opponents who blanked in 29 would then double in 33. Again, if it's the favourites, it would mean Newcastle play Aston Villa away and Crystal Palace at home. Liverpool would play Leicester away and Aston Villa at home. Crystal Palace would play Bournemouth at home and Newcastle away. And what did I say? I've already done the Newcastle. I got the wrong one. Whoever's the other one. I did Aston Villa in there twice. Sorry.
Yeah.
So they would play Newcastle at home and Liverpool at home. So
that's harsh.
As an example, bench boost and my new term for the assistant manager chip, the Assman chip, are going to be the Assman chip are going to be the two most useful here. Bench boost is what I'm probably going to go for. If you have plenty of players in Newcastle, Liverpool, Palace, Villa, then you'll likely have some of them on the bench too, and then some good other players in your team. So that's probably a good idea to play bench boost, basically.
33, you're saying?
That's 33. Blank game week 34, so the week later. Blanks for whoever gets to the FA Cup semi-finals and their opponents. So this is likely to be a bigger blank than 29. So this is far too hard to predict. But pretty much everyone but Arsenal, West Ham and Brentford are still in from the Premier League. So it could be any of those teams. But some of them do play each other. Premier League teams play each other next round, etc. So those blanks will move to the 36, creating a double. And we should all know this by game week 30. So all of the remaining fixtures. Whichever strategy you didn't use here in 29 is what I would use. So if you dead ended, then wildcarded in 30, I would free hit here. And then if you free hit in 29, then I would dead into 34 and then wildcard in 35 if you have it. Otherwise, if you don't have a wild card, you will have to find a way to get around this.
Get a few people out.
And then double 36, which is probably the teams that have blanked in 34 will double here. So it's going to be the biggest double of the season. So the most powerful chip is probably best used here. And that is the Assman chip.
Assman
chip, the assistant manager chip, which is, for anyone who's new to the game, is a nightmare, basically. Essentially, you pick a manager to go with your teams. They range from anywhere from 0.5 million to 1.5 million, so you'd have to have funds for them.
You have to have the funds in your bank for it. Oh,
yes. Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought you just went and bought one.
No.
Yeah, I thought that.
And it's a nightmare because also you'd have to then if you can transfer the manager. So basically, the Assman chip is for 3 weeks. So as soon as you've done the chip, you can't use any other chip in that 3-week gap. It has to be the Assman chip, and it's left. In that gap, you have a manager. You can transfer that manager using normal transfers, but transfers and budgets still apply to this manager. So you have to have the budget. You have to have the transfers. Okay.
Oh shit!
Makes sense.
I haven't looked at this at all.
Yeah. Basically, you get 6 points for a win, 3 points for a draw, and 1 point per goal, and 2 points for a clean sheet for that manager in any game.
Okay.
There's another wrinkle which is really annoying, but it's really cool. There's a table bonus. So essentially, if a team 5 places below their opponent, so for example, right now, if
a lesser manager beats a better manager,
Man United, let's just say, were playing Nottingham Forest. Yeah, they're 5 places below Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
And so if they won, they wouldn't get 6 points. They get 16 points.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then if they drew, they get 8 points.
So that's just by beating a team above them.
Yeah, 5 places above them. 5 places.
That'd be 5 places. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So that's probably the way you're going to try and find it. The teams in the bottom who are probably not pretty decent teams. That might be West Ham. That might be Everton at that stage. It might be
Man United.
United still, exactly.
Well, certainly quite often at the end of the season.
Yeah, Spurs, who could get one over on a team.
Your bottom halfers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But quite often what happens at the end of the season is that the teams that are fighting relegation do put in some big performances, and they have to. So they might. There's a team languishing mid-table, eh?
Other teams will be on the beach as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Mid-table as they've got nothing to play for.
All I would say for that point then, by the way, the reason why I'm thinking about using that in 36, because it's a massive double, and then you've got 37 and 38, so the 3 weeks, is because if you think about it, imagine you're getting 16 points for a win for a team 5 places above you for one game.
Yeah.
And then you've got a double and then 2 more games to go. Me, it's a massive chip. That's huge. That's loads of points. So basically, I would consider using it in that week. So, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, Jack leaving.
It's off.
Right, yeah, I'm gonna. I've got to go, boys. I'm gonna run.
Get in the car ready.
Yeah, the car's running.
Oh man, on the move.
Anyway, that's it for me. Basically, I was just gonna say I'm personally gonna be triple captaining 24, dead ending 30, dead ending 29th, wildcarding 30, bench boosting 33, free hitting 34, and then ass manning 36 to 38.
I love that. You'll have to go through that with me again so I can copy you.
Very good.
I'll just clip that line up and I'll put it in the start. Yeah. Anyway, we'll leave it there then, lads, shall we?
Yeah, well done, boys.
Week.
Lovely to be back. Lovely to be back. Lovely to see you both.
Yes.
See you later, boys.
Take care of yourselves.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for listening, lads.
Cheers, lads. Rock and roll.
See you later. Bye-bye.